Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at what might be the secret weapon for anyone building out a big environmental monitoring network. It's the NTI E-RJ8-RS485-D.
It's an 8-port sensor expander.
Exactly. And our whole mission here is to figure out how this one little box completely changes the capacity of NTI's E-2D, E5D, and E16D systems. And, maybe more importantly, flag the key compatibility rules you just can't afford to miss.
Right. I mean, you should think of this as the essential scaling solution if your deployment relies heavily on RS485 sensors. They're built for distance and reliability, which is perfect for big facilities.
So it's all about scale.
It is, but there's a big if. Your main EXD system, it has to be running firmware version 3.8 or newer. That's the absolute starting point.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Assuming you've got the firmware, just how much does this expander change the game? What's the absolute maximum capacity we're unlocking here?
Well, it scales up pretty dramatically depending on the base unit.
Right.
So for the smaller E2D, you can only add one of these expanders. That brings your total sensor count up to 9.
Okay, so 9 total. A decent bump.
It is. But then you get to the E5D, and you can connect 2 of these hubs. Suddenly you're at 19 sensors.
19. Now we're talking.
And then there's the E16D, which is, the real powerhouse. It supports up to 3 hubs. You can max that out at 37 total RS485 sensors.
37. That's a massive increase. Now, speaking of capacity, what happens when planners start linking or cascading these EXD units together? Can you just slap an expander on every unit in the chain?
That is a critical constraint. And a common planning mistake. The answer is no.
No. Yeah.
When you cascade those units, only the master unit in the chain can actually support this sensor expander.
So all the expansion has to originate from that single master unit.
Exactly. You'll hit a bottleneck really fast if you try to distribute them down the line. It just doesn't have the processing to handle it.
Shifting gears a bit, let's talk practical stuff. Power. This hub needs its own power, I assume.
It does. It comes with a 12 VDC 2.5A external power supply, which is thankfully included in the box.
That's good.
But more importantly, let's talk distance. The hub itself can use CT5 or CT6 cable to be up to 1,000 feet away from the main ENVIROMUX unit.
1,000 feet. That's over 300 meters. That gives you a lot of flexibility just to place the hub.
A ton. And then, of course, the individual sensor cable lengths coming off the hub are, specified per sensor. But here is the major potential headache.
Okay.
The software.
What about it?
Any sensors you connect to this expander are completely invisible to the standard EMNG management software.
Wait, say that again? Invisible.
100% invisible. You have to use the specialized EMNG SH version to see them.
Why? Why are there 2 different versions?
Well, the SH version is specifically designed to handle the complexity and just the sheer volume of data coming from these huge expanded sensor networks. The standard software just wasn't built for it.
So if you use the wrong software, you've got a bunch of expensive sensors that are essentially offline.
You would think so, yeah. It's a guaranteed deployment failure if you overlook that one little detail in the specs.
Wow. Okay, now this one is a DIN mount for cabin installs. Are there other options?
Yeah, there's a desktop unit and also a 1RU rack mount unit for, different server room environments. But let's talk about extreme reach for a second.
Beyond 1,000 feet.
Way beyond. The hub is compatible with NTI's EFSC fiber converter. If you put that in the mix, you can push the sensors up to 1.2 miles. That's 2 kilometers away from the main unit.
2 kilometers. That's not just a facility anymore, that's covering an entire campus.
It completely changes the scope of what you can monitor.
So if we boil it all down, this little NTI expander isn't just an add-on. It's really the key that turns a simple monitor into a multi-mile 37-sensor network. Yeah. But only if you get the firmware, the master unit placement, and critically, the software right.
And that really leads to the final thought, doesn't it? When you're scaling up a system that's monitoring critical infrastructure across miles of a facility, how much planning time is really going into validating that software compatibility before a single piece of hardware gets racked? I think that's a question worth exploring if uptime is truly your #1 goal.